You may not recognize the name Don Bluth right away, but you've definitely seen his movies. And if you have, they feel different. Darker, bolder, a little less safe than typical Disney animation. His career? A complete roller coaster. Big wins, brutal failures, and one final crash he never really recovered from. Don Bluth started at Disney, and not just as another guy in the room. He moved up fast, from a regular animator to co-directing Pete's Dragon. While Bluth was climbing the ladder, he was also quietly disagreeing with everything Disney was doing. At the time, the studio was cutting corners hard, reusing backgrounds, recycling animation, saving money wherever possible. Bluth hated that approach. He believed animation should be bigger, richer, more ambitious. So, in 1979, Bluth, along with Gary Goldman, John Pomeroy, and 9 other animators, quit Disney and started their own studio, Don Bluth Productions. This was a big move, like burn the bridge behind you kind of move. Their first film was The Secret of NIMH, and creatively, it worked. The movie stood out. It had style, atmosphere, emotion, but business-wise, total mess. Animation as a whole was struggling at the time, and their distributor basically gave up before the movie even had a chance. No marketing, almost no theaters. Around 100 screens, that's it. So yeah, the film made about $14 million on a $7 million budget. The studio couldn't recover the cost, and just like that, it was gone. First studio bankrupt. A year later, Bluth and his team came back with a new company, Bluth Group. But this time, they pivoted completely. No movies, just arcade machines. And to be fair, this actually worked. Their game Dragon's Lair became a hit. A real one. It sold well, got attention, became a cult classic. For a moment, it looked like Bluth had figured it out. So naturally, they started working on a sequel. And then the entire arcade market crashed in 1985. And since the studio had poured all its money into development, yeah, you can guess what happened next. Another studio gone, second bankruptcy. At this point, most people would be out of the game completely. But then something unexpected happened. The Secret of NIMH found a second life on home video. The film gained cult status and started selling like crazy for that time. And one of the people who noticed? Steven Spielberg. He watched it, loved it, and decided, yeah, I want to work with this guy. So Spielberg brings Bluth in, and together with Goldman, Pomeroy, and producer Morris Sullivan, they launch yet another studio, Sullivan Bluth Studios. Their first big project with Spielberg's Amblin was An American Tail, and this is where things get really interesting. Because for the first time, a non-Disney animated film didn't just compete, it won. Disney released The Great Mouse Detective, and Bluth's movie crushed it, $38 million versus almost $90. And it wasn't a one-time thing. Next came The Land Before Time, and once again, Bluth beats Disney, this time going up against Oliver and Company. And the success? Massive. The movie exploded in theaters, then dominated on home video, and eventually turned into a franchise with 13 sequels. Despite all the success, Bluth wasn't happy. Working with Spielberg meant constant compromise. Every idea had to be fought for. And worst of all, he wasn't telling the stories he actually wanted to tell. So when Amblin pushed for a sequel to An American Tail in 1988, Bluth said no, just walked away. And that was it. Partnership over. Spielberg moved on, released the sequel without him in 1991, and yeah, it didn't exactly set the world on fire. And here's the twist. While Bluth was fighting Disney, he accidentally helped save it. Because back in the 80s, Disney had pretty much given up on animation as a serious moneymaker. They kept cutting costs, playing it safe, reusing assets, but after getting beaten at the box office by An American Tail, they had to rethink everything. They changed the strategy, stopped recycling old material, and actually invested in their films again. The result? The Little Mermaid in 1989. Huge hit, massive success, and just like that, Disney kicks off its golden age of animation. Meanwhile, after walking away from Spielberg, Bluth went back to doing things his way. His next film, All Dogs Go to Heaven, was well received, but at the box office, pretty average. Nothing spectacular. Just another reminder that good reviews don't always mean big money. And then came Rock-a-Doodle. This was supposed to be the comeback, the movie that would keep the studio alive. Instead, it crashed. The film bombed at the box office and took Sullivan Bluth Studios down with it. Just like that, another studio gone. And here's the crazy part. This wasn't just bad luck. There was a pattern. Bluth always chose distributors that offered the best financial terms. Lower fees, better deals on paper. Sounds smart, right? Yeah, until you realize those same distributors barely spent anything on marketing. So the movies would come out and nobody even knew they existed. And to make things worse, the home video rights were usually sold off. So even when films like The Secret of NIMH or All Dogs Go to Heaven became huge hits later, that money didn't go back to his studio. And it gets worse. 3 more films that were finished after the studio collapsed eventually made it to theaters, and they were the weakest of his career. They flopped. Some of them even picked up Golden Raspberry Awards. 20th Century Fox stepped in and picked up what was left of Bluth's operation. But there was a catch. Fox wasn't interested in Bluth's ideas at all. They basically said, "Cool, now go make our movie." That movie was Anastasia, and somehow it worked. The film made $140 million at the box office, becoming the biggest hit of Bluth's entire career. For a moment, it looked like he was back, like he could actually compete with Disney again. And to be fair, he kinda did. Disney released Hercules the same year with a much bigger budget, and while it made more money, it didn't completely dominate. After Anastasia, he started working on 2 projects at once. One of them went straight to video, the other became Titan A.E., his final film, and this is where everything starts to fall apart again. Originally, Titan A.E. wasn't even supposed to be an animated movie. Fox planned it as a big live-action sci-fi film, but then the budget estimates started creeping past $100 million, and the studio went, "Yeah, no." So they pivoted, turned it into animation, mixed traditional 2D with the new 3D style. Bluth didn't think so. He pushed back. He didn't believe in the project. He straight up said audiences wouldn't care about this kind of story. Instead, he pitched something completely different, a film about the Argonauts. Rejected. Then he tried a Dracula story. Also rejected. Studio logic. Nobody wants that. Sure, because Hollywood is always right about what audiences want, right? In the end, Bluth gave in. He teamed up again with Gary Goldman, and they moved forward with Titan A.E. Fox saw it as the start of a huge new franchise. Movies, TV shows, video games, the whole package. They even released a novelization and a comic prequel before the film was out. Everything was set up for a big launch. But behind the scenes? Chaos. The production was rushed. The studio kept pushing deadlines. Storylines were cut. And then came the music situation, which somehow made things even worse. First, they wanted Harry Gregson Williams. He couldn't do it. Then Hans Zimmer, also noted. John Powell stepped in, wrote a score under insane time pressure, and the studio rejected it. Eventually, Graham Revell came in and had to put the music together in a rush. And just when things couldn't get messier, the release got pushed from 1999 to 2000. Marketing had already started, so they had to shut everything down and start over. And the reason? Competition. Pokémon, South Park, The Iron Giant, Toy Story 2. The studio looked at that lineup and basically panicked. They assumed Titan wouldn't survive. In fact, rumors say Fox had already written the movie off before it even came out. So the new marketing campaign? Minimal, almost non-existent. The planned video game? Canceled before release. And then the movie finally hits theaters. Budget $75 million. Box office $36. That was the end. Fox looked at those numbers and immediately shut down its traditional animation division. Bluth was out. The studio was gone. And just like that, it was over. Not just the film, the entire era. And to be fair, Titan A.E. wasn't the only problem. By the late 90s, traditional animation was already in trouble. You could see it coming. The Iron Giant in 1999? Amazing movie, but a box office failure. Then Bluth collapses. And then even Disney starts struggling. The Emperor's New Groove, Atlantis, Treasure Planet, Home on the Range? One after another, they underperform. Only a couple of films like Lilo and Stitch and Brother Bear managed to do okay. The trend is obvious. Audiences are moving on. 3D animation is taking over. And studios follow the money. So Disney eventually walks away from traditional animation too. They tried to come back in 2009 with The Princess and the Frog. See if audiences still cared. The answer? Not really, at least not compared to 3D hits. As for Bluth, this time he didn't try again. He just stepped away. In 2015, he and Gary Goldman tried to revive Dragon's Lair through Kickstarter. Didn't work. Eventually, Netflix got involved, but even they changed direction. Scrapped the animated version and moved to a live-action film with Ryan Reynolds. And Bluth, just a producer this time. And here's the part that really hits. It's been years since that announcement, and nothing has happened. Bluth is now 88 years old. And at this point, the chances of him ever releasing another major project are pretty close to zero. That was Frameback. Subscribe for more rewinds and see you on the next one.